Hi guys, welcome to Antara and Gagan, and today we're going to talk about some of the basics of architecture photography. What is the basic gear you need to start with an architecture photography or a real estate photography, and how to get killer edits. Now, architecture, it's more than just buildings. It's art you live in, but how do you capture it? That's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video, and I'll break down the essential gear you need. Then we'll dive into the real magic, that is the editing. So grab your camera and let's get building. Okay, so first thing first, gear. You don't need latest mirrorless cameras just to get started with shooting architecture. The basic thing we need is a DSLR or a mirrorless camera just to get things started. Your phone is also an option, but we need a camera which can give us a manual control, which will help us. A wide angle lens, that is very crucial. 16 to 35 on a full frame camera will do the thing. A tripod is important. It's essential to get sharp, high resolution, and which will help us in low light conditions. Look for a sturdy tripod that will do the thing. The next basic things are memory cards and batteries, because a ton of content and you'll do that on bracketing. So you'll get 5 to 7 photos of each angle and it can eat up your memory card. So we need a lot of memory cards. So whenever we are starting with a shoot, we need to understand the building, what are the directions of the building, which side is the facing of the building, because sunrise and sunset is very important to shoot architecture. We need to understand the building, where the shadows are building, what will be the effect of golden hour, soft light, blue light. That is very important. So plan your shoot. Whenever we start with the shooting part, you need to understand the compositions, what are the leading lines, what are the geometrical shapes which you're shooting. Homework is important. But most of all, don't be afraid to experiment with the building. You'll be surprised how great shots you might be able to get just with experimentation. So don't be afraid of that. So during the shoot, I'd like to give you a few tips and tricks. Whenever we're shooting, put on the horizons of the camera. There are levels. You'll be surprised at how much it will help you to get a perfectly aligned shot. The second tip is that bracket your exposures. Whenever you're shooting architecture, you need to get multiple exposures so that you get the most of the dynamic range of the camera. I usually go with 5 to 7 images during bracketing and then club them up in post-processing using Adobe Photoshop Lightroom or Photoshop. So the real fun begins on the system when we start to edit our shoot. First of all, whenever you're done with the shoot, I want you to organize and import all the data in a single folder, then go to Lightroom. I usually prefer Lightroom. So let's start up our system and I'll show you how to get things going. Okay, moving on to Lightroom now. First, I have imported a few photographs of projects which I've done. Let's move on to develop, and I'll show you how to begin with how to get multiple exposures in one single photograph. So let's start with this one. So as you can see, there are multiple exposures of this single photo. We'll select all this, right click, photo merge, and HDR. Now, there are two options. There is a shortcut key as well, and through this process as well. Now it's creating HDR preview. First of all, we'll have to wait for a while. It depends upon the processor which you have of your system. And merge. Now, what I was talking about was the leading lines. See, these lines are very crisp, very sharp. It helps us with to show the composition of the architect, what he's trying to build, and the structure, the superstructure which he has built. Now this is a cantilever and the structure of the building. Okay, so now that this image is merged together by the software only, let's move on to the color grading process of this photograph. Now As you know that we have a lot of data in this single photograph. 5 raw photos are merged together in this one single photograph. So don't be hesitant to, play around with the exposure. So as you can see that we can do a lot of this, a lot of plus and minus with the single photograph. Let's build up a few bit of a contrast with this image. I want to bring out the highlights, bring down the highlights from the hair and increase the shadows and blacks, clarity a bit down, texture a bit up, dehaze. Okay, so now that we have done the basic color grading with this, I'd like the temperature to be a little bit warmer. As you can see that this part was very tinted a bit. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Now as you can see that this line is not completely straight. So first of all, what I'd like to do is go to transform and click on auto. Whatever alignment issues which we have done during the shoot, micro adjustments, it can be resolved over here. If you are not happy with this, we can always go with like guided and it will help you more. So I'd like it on auto. I think it's great. It's resolving our issues, basic issues. And let's move on to the color grading part and to color mixer actually. So let's bring down the greens over to yellow and yellow to a bit of the green part, so that this is completely not disturbing our eyes and desaturated from here. I like to go with the minimal look. It helps us to not get distracted by all this green, which will give the focus over here to the building. I like to do that. And let's go and play around with a little bit of this. I like to have some blues in the sky, which is not coming out. So what we'll do is later on I'll go in the masking part and then again play around with it. So it's all very objective. Whatever feels right for you, we need to do that. Color grading, yeah, I want this a bit too much. I like to have a little bit of this green over here. So this is somewhat of the shadows part, so I'm pulling the green in this. And let's play around with this. Now what usually blue primary does is that if we increase the saturation, it doesn't burn any of any other colors. So red primary, blue primary, and down. And now as I've told you, this is my work, my style, so play around with it and you'll be able to get the maximum out of this. If you have any grains, go with manual noise reduction and it will help you. Sharpening, I go to masking to 80, which helps me with this. And again, moving on to curves. Yeah. Now let's do a bit of this. Make an S curve to bring the contrast. What I feel is that this is going a little bit on the greener side, so let's push it to here. Yeah, that's perfect. Now masking. Oh, if you have the latest of the Lightroom version, it will help you a lot. Let's just simply do this. It'll check the sky, mask it, and here we go. I'll bring down the exposure here and I want blue skies. Somewhere around here. Yeah, that's it. If to get the most out of your workflow, if you want a quick thing, a quick jump to one of your basic things that this is what I want to do, So I have my presets built up, like basically if I want to do something very quick, very fast edits. So presets are must. You need to have presets of your own to give your own unique look to your exports. So what I was trying to say with the composition part was this, something, you know, which is very unique, which is not distracting anyone. And for architectural shoots, for real estate shoots, you need to get into the leading lines. For example, like this, these are leading lines and has some negative space to it, and it is not very distracting. It is very simple, subtle, and it gives a clean look. I have another shot of this building, which is this one. So it shows the superstructure of the building, and the lines are the verticals are almost straight. What we'll do is that I made the HDR version of this photo. We'll go down to transform panel and click auto again, and I guess this works. Yes, it works. It is giving the, you know, complete straight look of the building. It shows the structure, the cantilevers, everything is visible. So what I'll do is go to clean indoor portrait, and my edit is almost done. I just need to go to the calibration part and again play around with it. And one more thing I'd like to do is again go to masking, sky, and wait for it. Let's bring the exposure a bit down, temperature to cooler side, and we have something which is looking good. Yeah, I guess this works. Yeah, this works. All right. Now, whenever we're shooting on the site, you need to look for some mood shots. If this is another site, the structure is not visible, nothing is visible, but the aesthetic of the building is visible. Again, when we move into interiors as well, look for the leading lines. The leading lines is exactly showing us the pathway. So when we're talking about interiors as well, we need to understand the lines of the building. We'll go to transform again first and do this. One more tip, that whenever we're shooting, whenever we're in the edit part, go to lens correction and enable profile correction. It will help you with the distortion if there is any, vignetting if there is any. So as you can see, I've done auto and it looks amazing. And let's move on. Again, we have a lot of play area with the exposure, so don't be afraid to pull this shadow area. I'll go to my preset at first, increase the exposure. Now as you can see that this is brought back, but not this area. So what we'll do is and pull down the highlights. Again, a little bit of clarity needs to be down. What we'll do is that we'll go over area, linear gradient, and we'll mask this. Perfect. And there you have it. We have a perfectly exposed photograph of this interior. So my point with the architecture shoot is that we need to get leading lines, we need to get the vertical straight off the building, and again, experiment with your shoots. That's all from my side today, and hope to see you in the next one. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of these tutorials, and comment if you want to learn anything. I'll be happy to reply and make a video out of it if you want to. See you.